My name is Christiaan van der Blij. I work for company Röchling Industrial. We have supplied since about 50 years tank supports for LPG and LNG and LEG carriers. And since a few decades now we are supplying supports for the fuel tanks, for LNG, and nowadays also for hydrogen tanks, as well as pipe supports. We are involved in developing solutions for composites for the use in electrolysis, as well as the supports and the installation of hydrogen tanks. We are also involved in supplying products, for example, airplanes on hydrogen. So it's very exciting and very challenging as well due to the low temperatures. We are focusing at improving our products. That means making sure that we keep the same mechanical stability while improving the insulation factor, especially now with the move from LNG onwards to hydrogen at even a much lower temperature. There's a lot of talk about that it's just a transition fuel. And it's still involved with lots of CO2. I have a slightly different opinion. I think we cannot do without LNG. We cannot depend on temporarily available sources only, like wind and solar, as is proven in the stability of the German network. We need a stable factor such as LNG. I think the biggest challenge will be a political one, a regulatory one. As was announced several years ago already, certain alternatives will only become economically viable if the price level is increased, of the current technologies is increased in an artificial way. I think that's a big challenge to cope. The role of LNG in the European energy sector is a very strongly politically influenced one as well. I think it plays a very strong role, as we've seen from the change in dependency on very cheap natural gas to important natural gas. I think Mr. Seymour Hersh had a very interesting report on this as well, which has everything to do with LNG and the import of that. I think, although it's considered as a transitional fuel, I think it has a very important future. It's a factor we cannot do without. The hydrogen technologies are highly interesting. We are also involved in that. Composites for electrolyzers, for fuel cells. I'm not quite sure how fast that will become economically viable. It is interesting, but I think gas-based still has a very strong and important role. It's going very nicely and smoothly, and it's a very pleasant experience. Certainly also because it's selected and it's a closed group or a closed event. Personal support is very good, I must say. The coaching, that is one of the aspects, and also the small scale. Nice play of words towards LNG, but also the small scale in the organization has so far been very successful.